All right, guys, so after a little bit of sort of fiddling around with a bunch of different stuff, I think that I finally figured out kind of what the plan is going to be here for this channel. So basically what I think we're going to do is we're going to have a sort of distinction every single day between you know, whether we play like NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Special Edition, or whether we go and play like you know, some other game. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to alternate between the two so that we don't get you too sick of this game. Once this game is eventually done, then I'll find some other game to go play through, and we'll go through that as well. So we'll have sort of like a storyline thing, and then we'll have the normal game. And I'm doing it this way because I'm also going to start doing a sim as well really soon. Hopefully today, but I can't promise it. There's some preparatory work that I want to do ahead of time. So you'll know it when you see it. Anyway, so back we go to our adventure with Michael Jordan and with everybody else. I need to make sure this is actually chosen. There we go. I also need to eventually go in and make some changes to the settings. In fact, you know, we can do this right now. Actually, no, we can't. I'd have to go back to the test switch. I'm not going to do that here with you guys watching it because, yeah, it's a little bit boring. We want to make content that's actually at least somewhat interesting. Here I am again, top 10 player, defeated 10 of the 27 teams. Why am I a top 10 player? Because I'm the only one playing this machine. And that's what this is. This is actually acting as if this were the arcade machine, which is kind of the cool thing. So, anyway, there we go. I'll get this set up so that we have actual sound in the attract mode, which is what it's normally supposed to do. Sometimes it's turned off for some of these games on MAME for whatever reason. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Scottie. Scottie's wondering what in the world I'm thinking. You guys all remember that that year that it was the Pacers and the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals? What was that, 97, I think? Was it 97 or 98? One of you guys knows. I remember that series like crazy. I know it was one of the two because I was in Utah and we were waiting to see which team the Jazz were going to play against. I think it was 98, actually. And it looked for a little while like Indiana was going to end up getting the win, and it just didn't happen. That was a classic series. That was a classic time for the NBA, man. This is a great time in NBA history. So I've got a video. The next basketball video is coming out tomorrow. We're going to talk about basketball cards. We're going to be talking about hoops. You guys remember hoops back in 1989? I mean, if you're watching this, you probably do because, you know, you're probably old like me. For a lot of us, hoops was the first basketball card that we ever bought. I don't remember ever seeing NBA, like Fleer NBA cards in stores and stuff, but hoops was in a lot of stores back when it came out. And the whole concept behind that was that the NBA wanted to like get more people who were interested in collecting cards to be interested in like its product as a sport. So that's why they came out with this. Like these days, everybody looks at it and is like, oh, why did they make this, you know, set that was like overproduced and stuff? Back in those days, the whole point was the overproduced set, right? Like that was what the focus was on. Pro set was like the same way, and you have to realize that like for the league, you know, they wanted to have a set that was easy for kids to get because everybody was spending money on baseball cards, and their thinking was, well, why don't they spend money on basketball cards or football cards or whatever instead? So that's the reason why those sets are so overprinted. Anyway, so that's one of the things that we'll touch on. I can't remember if I actually touched on that in the video or not. I already have it filmed, written. I have everything selected that we want to have out. It's going to be out, I think I said tomorrow. It's actually going to be out on Friday. So the day after tomorrow. But yeah, you can sort of check it out and see how it goes. It's kind of risky for me to do videos and stuff like basketball cards, like on my American football channel. I did one on American football cards and nobody's watched it, right? So I'm kind of worried that we're going to end up with that situation here as well. But it actually is interesting, especially if you're interested in sports cards. Like you should know a little bit more about like the history of this stuff and where it comes from, and you know why stuff was kind of the way that it was and stuff like that. A lot of people just look at that time period and say, oh, this is all junk wax, but they don't really understand why. Anyway, I think that Hoops actually, as I was looking through this again, I think that Hoops is actually a really good series, and 89 Hoops I think is a much better looking set than 89 Fleer. Like if you want the money set or whatever, it's going to be Fleer, but Hoops had a really, really good look to it, and those packs were just classic with like the NBA logos on them and stuff. Anyway, if you were a kid back then, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody wanted these cards. Right, and there was more than enough of it to go around. And if you look at it in terms of like what Topps was doing with basketball cards and stuff back in like the 70s, like it really was a really, really big improvement what companies like Hoops were able to do. And later on, you had Upper Deck, right? 2 years later, Upper Deck. You eventually had Fleer that got into Fleer Ultra. You had a bunch of like Stadium Club came out. The Stadium Club set, the first one's really good. I have that set, right? More that I look at it, the more I'm like, yeah, I do want to make videos based on these cards because there's a lot of like cool looking cards that most people just sort of like pass off as, well, that's junk wax. And yeah, there were a lot of cards printed, sure, but there's a lot of really cool stuff, and it was a real cool period in the NBA. I wouldn't have gotten that shot off anyway, even if I had gotten to that earlier. So, anyway, how are we doing here in this game? Scottie's got 6 points, so I've been passing. That's a difference. I don't know why we need these substitutions, man. We just do the same team over and over and over again. Pacers down by 6, so I shouldn't be taking shots like that because they won't go in. Who is this that they have here? Oh, Smiths. What's his first name? I keep forgetting. This is, we're getting to NBA trivia that I'm not really all that intimately familiar with. I'll tell you though, you play some NBA Jam, you get to know every single player in the NBA. That's one of the keys of this game, by the way, for the league, was the fact that, like, you know, kids would get really into it, and they would be talking about like who the best player is and who you should control, which team you should control, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, this is great for the league. You know, you're trying to get people to talk about your product. And when you look at like this game in the context of like, you know, where the NBA was, say for example in the 1970s, it's just incredible the difference that this made. I mean, in like the late 70s and the early 80s, there were so many drug problems in the NBA, and like nobody really wanted to pay much attention to it. Like if you read, you know, the sporting news, Sports Illustrated and stuff, yeah, there would be NBA coverage. But, you know, it was seen generally in the United States, at least, as, you know, a league filled with players who were kind of like, you know, druggies and who were kind of corrupted and all this other stuff. And it didn't help that there was that, you know, that drug scandal in Phoenix in '87, you know, that only added to that feeling of like, who wants to watch this league? Who wants to do any of this stuff? I mean, people talk a lot about like Magic and Bird saving it, but in a very real sense, it was actually Michael Jordan that helped save this league, because if you know the stories behind Michael Jordan, when he first got on the Bulls, you know, he talks about how there were a bunch of guys who were like users on the team, you know, and you know, Jordan was like, came from the North Carolina tradition and was thinking like seriously about the sport of basketball. You know, and he's surrounded by a bunch of guys who were just basically picking up a paycheck. And I mean, the difference that he made to the culture of the NBA and to the feel of it and stuff like that, I mean, really, you can't like over exaggerate it, right? Jordan is like what the NBA really is all about. So anyway, a little bit of a hero worship from me, I know, but there's a reason why people talk so much about Jordan. Now, these days is a little bit different, of course, but these days you don't have the same issues that you had in the NBA back in, you know, the 1980s. It's not even close. I mean, these days, maybe you worry a little bit about steroids, maybe, but even then, I kind of doubt it. I know people will talk about LeBron James and saying, you know, how does he maintain his health? How has he become so big and stuff like that? But really, for the sort of game that basketball is, steroid use is not going to help you that much. Maybe the game of the 90s, it might help, right? Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, you know, having real big guys and stuff down underneath. I mean, if you're talking about today's game, if you're doing a bunch of roids and you get to the point where you're kind of slow and have slow reset reflexes and you're like a real big guy, it's not going to help you, right? The way the guys play today, you've got to be fast. I mean, go watch games that like Wembanyama plays, right, with the Spurs. How are you going to guard that guy if you're roided up, right? Maybe you like knock him around or something. But I mean, you know, he's so fast and he's so agile, right? And he's got so much jumping ability, right? And so much ball handling ability and stuff. It's just not the game that it once was. I know we were talking before, right, about you know, big guys and stuff, and I got in trouble with somebody for my comments on Sean Bradley and all that. Anyway, it's all good. Sean Bradley, by the way, a lot of the feelings that we have about Sean Bradley, or that I have, is probably because of growing up in Utah, where Sean Bradley is really, really looked at as like sort of a little bit of a failure. I think that there is still a little bit of frustration that BYU fans have with Bradley and the fact that he decided to go to the NBA instead of going back after his mission and playing and stuff like that. Dude, Scottie, you got to be there for the pass, baby. Oh no, this is not what we want. It is. Oh, no good, man. This is all Sean Bradley's fault. All right, let's do it. Let's do it here. All right, we got this. Scottie, that's the last time I ever passed to you, man. See, there we go. That's, we don't want you to shoot it, we want you to dunk it. Yeah, this isn't looking good. Man, how do we let this guy on fire? Scottie, what's the problem with you, man? There you go. Yeah, see, that's what we want to do. You knock the guy down and then you take the shot. That's the plan. Dude, this Smith guy. Scottie, what are you doing, baby? Oh, no, 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 no. There we go. Thank you, Scottie Pippen. All right, we got this under control now. What'd I tell you? Well, I bet you weren't expecting to see a defensive matchup like this one in NBA Jam Tournament Edition, huh? I love that, by the way. The screen just starts totally flipping out. Funny thing about playing these games like this is that, you know, it still is missing kind of that arcade feel, because you're playing on an arcade machine. You have to realize you're playing on like an actual machine, right? And so when you're playing on the actual machine, like there's always this like feeling that like you can like shake it or do something to like make something extra happen or whatever. Right? Remember, the arcades have a bunch of pinball machines and stuff like that, you know, and back in the good old days, man, back in the days when you had stuff like that all over the place, you go see the movies and stuff and you would have tons of these arcade machines. I know that you still have them these days, right? But not quite the same. It's not the same culture that we had back then. Back when you had like, you know, Street Fighter 2 and stuff like that. Oh man, we're gonna go to another overtime, aren't we? No! Alright, here we go. We're giving you some extra basketball. This is to thank you for watching, so we're giving you a little bit extra here. I think we have to, yeah, we have to keep the same guys. Reggie Miller, huh? I wonder if Reggie Miller would watch this channel. Somebody, if you know his email address, send it to him. I won't say anything bad about him. There you go, Scottie. It wasn't me who knocked him over, Reggie. It was Scottie. Thank you. Oh, there we go. We finally got the rim breaker. I tell you that watching Smiths on this screen is just like, you know, you play like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever in the arcade, and you get like, you get like the boss, right? The real big boss. That's kind of what he looks like. He's so much bigger than everybody else, and you feel like, oh man, we're up against the boss this time, you know? That was one of the problems with some of the Acclaim ports, where you had like everybody was like the same height, you know? Oh, why am I doing that? There we go. And now we're on fire, and that means it's going to be really, really rough for them. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Don't let him hit it. Thank you. There we go. There's your nail in the coffin, baby. Yeah, I'm going to knock him over. My best friend, or one of my best friends when I was growing up, had a Reggie Miller jersey. I remember this. We would go out, we would play basketball all the time over in the driveway, and so he'd be taking threes, but he would be talking like he was, you know, Reggie Miller. We do that old thing, you know, Miller for three and all that. You know, you announce the game while you're playing it and stuff like that. It was good old days. I wonder what he's up to. He's probably not watching this. He's probably wondering why anybody in the world would want to watch somebody play NBA Jam all day. Anyway, there you go. We're ranked number 5th now in our arcade location, so we're doing all right. We're well on our way to beating all 27 NBA teams. I wish it would show me how we did in the overtime, because we dominated them in that second overtime. So there we go. We get all of those punks taken care of, and that's the way that it is with the NBA Jam Tournament Edition. So thank you again for watching, and we'll have more of this, not tomorrow, the day after. Tomorrow we're going to play some other EA Sports thing or something like that. I don't know. We'll make it up as we go. Talk to you later. Bye.